Hello and welcome to our algorithmic trading school. Today I'm going to show you how to create a basic indicator template. These are the requirements that you need when you start joining our school. So what I'm going to do is kick off and actually show you with cTrader Automate how to actually create a new indicator. And I'm just going to go through the structure of the indicator, but not actually implement anything now. Later on, we're going to go through the process of creating an indicator based on requirements as part of the course. So this is more like a prerequisite starter. So what I'm going to do is go straight ahead and close this window. So when you first start cTrader, you'll see something like this. So you need to go to the cTrader Automate tab in the bottom left. Click on that. Then you click on the Indicator tab. That'll come up in a minute. It's got a lot of indicators in there right now. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to click New to create the new indicator. There's a little New button there. When you click on that, it actually creates it down there. The first thing I'm going to do is name the indicator. I'm going to call it my indicator. You can call it anything you want. I'm going to click on anywhere off the screen and it will rename it. Now you notice there's a little red dot by this button here. This is the build button. Because I've renamed the indicator, you have to rebuild it. And I'm going to filter out all the other indicators that are there and only show my one. So I'm just going to type in my. And it's only come up with my indicator now. That's the only one I want to see. This is just a search filter box. You can undo this just by clicking X, and you can put it back in by clicking my. Okay, so here's the indicator. Now what I'm going to do is just go step through the code on here. So my task today is to explain to you that when you create a new indicator using cTrader Automate, this is using cTrader 4.2, what all this code means. So if you've got zero code experience, I'm going to try my best to explain each line of code. If there's anything you don't understand, please add a comment at the bottom of the YouTube channel. There's also going to be a link to a forum where you can actually ask questions and get a detailed reply. So the first thing I'm going to do is just show you this block of text at the top using. Okay, with C#, so this is using the Microsoft C# programming language. Right now, I'm not going to open up Microsoft Visual Studio, which is the code editor that we use in our courses. I'm going to keep with the cTrader editor just to make it easier to explain to you what each one does. So this block of code here, all the using, these are libraries. What this means is that there's already code that's written doing specific tasks regarding interrogating data, accessing cTrader's API. So cTrader has an interface. So through this code, you can talk to the cTrader platform to do things with indicators, So what these libraries here, these are all libraries that you actually need for your indicator. So when you first start, leave them as they are. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this video, but later on I'm going to go into more detail about including libraries into your projects and what the libraries are and how they work. I'll go straight into here. You've got a namespace here of Calgo. Now that stays the same. Now this is the block of code that actually, when you create your first indicator, that makes the most difference. So the first line here, you've got, and it's called an attribute. It says indicator and your access rights. Now it's got access rights set to none. If, for example, you wanted to do something, in our case, to send Telegram alerts, you have to give it full access because you're sending a Telegram alert. If you're doing something which requires access to third-party tools or going to the internet or anything like that, then you really need to give it full access, otherwise it won't work. But now I'm going to leave this at none. So the next line of code here, you've got public class. Now a class structure, again, we're going to give information what a class is. This is more like one main object that we're going to use, and from that object, we're going to do specific tasks. So for now, you don't need to know anything about what it means. You just leave it as it is. Now you can call it in here anything you want. So it's copied the name that we've created for the project there. At any point, if you change this name, if I was to change it to something like my indicators with an S at the end, okay, it's not actually, well, it has, it's updated the class name there. So that's good. You don't need to do anything there. So at any point, you can actually change the class name if you need. Then you've got a colon. And then here it's got the inherited object indicator. Now you need this. So this contains all the necessary market information. It says there, provides access to built-in indicators, provides framework and convenient indicators creation. So when you first create your indicator, this is standard. You don't change this. You leave this as it is. It means you can access all the interface to the trading platform to do what you want to do with. Now you've got another parameter here called, another line of code here called parameter. Now your parameters are your settings that you're going to use for your indicator. In this case, they've got it called message. So just to show you how this works, I'm going to build it. That's going to go ahead and build. You can ignore up here where it says .NET 6 or Legacy Framework. That's a separate video I'll explain to you, but you just leave it at .NET 6 for now. Now I'm going to add an indicator reference. So this means that I can add this indicator, and through cTrader Automate, I can add it to any symbol. I'm going to do it onto GBP USD. Now you can see that it's got the message up there, hello world, and it's also got the color of the line that it's going to do. These are standard put in there. If I go back to the code, this is the parameter here, hello world. If I change this message to something else, so I'll leave that now. So where it says default value, so anytime you want to add a new parameter, you add it in here. So I'm going to change the hello world to hi world. And then I'm going to build it. Now if I actually go to click on the instance again, I have to, the reason it hasn't changed is because I've got the old instance. I have to remove that. You right click on it to remove the instance. I add the new instance again, and it says hi world. That's the default message that's inside. If I go back to the code, so the whole idea is that you can have additional parameter settings in here. Now these values, these are user defined values, so it's something the user can type in to change how the indicator works. So I could have another one here saying anything I want. I could do, I'm just do a copy and paste, that's the easiest way to do it. So I could do public parameter, default value, true. I'm going to put true in there, and I'm going to change this to a bool. Now what a bool is, it's called a boolean. It just means yes or no, true or false. And I'm going to call this parameter something like show alert. So if you were going to do alert on the indicator, so what I've done now is I've actually put another parameter in there called show alert. I've not put a parameter default value. Sorry, I have put a parameter default value. You can also add change it so it doesn't just show alert or message. It shows a predefined message, and I can show you that at another time. So if I go ahead and build it, now again if I click on it, it's automatically added this new parameter now, show alert yes or no. Okay, so you've got a boolean which is yes or no. So you can add additional parameters to the indicator by doing this. Now again, if I actually go to here where it says parameter and I've got the default value, if I put a comma, it actually gives me various values that can go in here. You can have the default value, a group name, which means you can group them, the max value, min value. So if you're using an integer, a max value could be an integer or a number, where it can be selected to a maximum of 10 or a minimum of 1. And a step is how you step. I'm actually going to quickly show you an example for that now. I'll go through and show you. So what I'm going to do, and you've got another thing here, it's called an override. You've got additional ones. You can have the name being displayed as well. So what I'm going to do, okay, I'll try and go slowly on this one. If I go back to the indicator now, just so I don't confuse you all, I'm going to try my best to go as slow as possible. Now at the top here where it says message, if I go back to the indicator code, it's getting that value because the parameter name is message. If I actually put a value at the start and call it something like custom message, okay, that's the parameter name I've got for this now. Now what will happen now is if I build this, it's no longer going to show message as the name, it's going to show custom message. So if I go back to the settings, it now shows the parameters as custom message. So you can actually change what is displayed. Now where it says show alert, there's no space between the show and the alert. If I go back to the indicator, this is because the parameter here just shows show alert. So if I actually add here the name of the parameter to be show alert and then build it, if I go back to the indicator, you can now see it says show alert. So this shows you the ability to add parameters and actually how to change what's shown in the parameter. I'm going to go back to the code again. The next one I'm going to show is I'm going to add another parameter which is a number, and I'm going to show you how to do a maximum and a minimum to choose for the user. So if I actually do this, oops, go back out one. Okay, so now if I do number of periods, for example, in an indicator. Okay, it's going to be called number of periods. The default value can't be true because I'm going to change it to a thing called an int. Now in code, what an int is a number. It's a short number. So I'm going to say int, and the default value is going to be 3. So it's now got a new setting because it says show alert and it's highlighted this. I need to change this to periods. Oops. So I changed this to periods. Now what we've got 3 parameters as part of this code, and 1 output parameter. You can leave that one for now, not to confuse you. I'll just leave these 3 just to make it easier for you to see. Now, as I said, these parameters, these lines of code, they are your user settings. So when you create your custom indicator, these are the values that you're going to be allowed to change. So say if you had an indicator that had periods, you know, bars back, this is where you would actually define it. If I now go ahead and build, and it's built, and click on the instance, you've now got number of periods 3. You've got the custom message and show alert. Now if I go down, you can see it goes into negative values. Now for example, if you wanted to restrict the user from going into negative values, and you wanted to restrict the user from going above 10, what you can do, if I go back to the code, you have this option here by adding an extra attribute up here. So if I click comma again, now you can see if you read this, it says default value, which we've got number of periods. Actually, I have to go down to number 2 because it's got the name of the parameter attribute. So we've got the name of the parameter attribute being number of periods. The default value is 3. The group, we're going to leave that for now to be empty. I'll show you grouping later on. Now we've got the max value. So the max value, I have to start typing in max. So the max value I'm going to do as 10. Oh, it didn't do it. So I go back. And it's not doing it. Maximum. Right, maximum value, if I click on it, or double click on it, it will actually pre-put it in for me. So I'm going to do the max value as 10, comma. Now it shows the minimum value as the next value. So it's this one here. So the minimum value, I'm going to type in min and double click on that. The minimum value I'm going to do as 1. I don't want it to go to lower than 1. Now step is how, when you click on the value to go up or down, does it go up in 0.01 at a time or does it go up in 1? I only want to step by 1. Okay, so I'm going to do step equals, might be a bit, step equals 1. Okay, so it doesn't like that. There's a problem there. So we go straight in and we have a look. We've got step equals 1. We've got max value equals 10. Min value equals 1. Step equals 1. Default value equals object. And I cannot see why it's thrown an error. I'm just trying to look. Group string. Default value 3. Number of periods. I cannot see why there's an error there. I'm just trying to look. No, it's not that. It's very strange. Max value 10. Sorry about this. Min value 1. Step equals 1. Why will it not like step? Let's have a look. It doesn't like min value. It doesn't like max value. Okay, it was the actual group name was a blank. It didn't like that. So now I'm going to go group. I'll tell you why, because I have to type group. Very simple sort of error, really. I made that error. So you have to actually have the group name, which is going to be nothing. Then I go back in and add the max value. I mean, making little silly mistakes like this is probably useful for you because it gives you an idea that if you make a mistake yourself, this little squiggly yellow underline that comes up will actually show you there's an error in your code and you need to go back and find out what you did. Mine was a very basic mistake, really. Instead of writing group equals double inverted quotes, which is nothing, I just did double inverted quotes. You have to actually specify the name of the parameter that's being used and then the value. So here I'm going to put max value as 10 and min value of 0. And it's probably good that I make mistakes as I go along because it goes to show that you will probably be doing the same thing and how you would go about resolving it as well. So it's useful. And then I want to do step equals It's a bit temperamental, this step equals 1. This is why I prefer to use the Visual Studio code editor. I know this is the cTrader's version of the code editor, but in the later classes, I'm actually going to explain to you and show you how to use the Visual Studio code editor, which is a bit more robust. But this is good enough for starting out anyway. So what I'm going to do is now build this, and it's built. Now, if I go to the instance again, now we've got the number of periods. Now, if I click up this arrow to go up or down, you see it highlights red. That means because I set a max value of 10. Again, if I go down and go to -1, it comes up with red. So it won't allow that to happen. So that doing the max and min values allows you to actually force the user into actually entering the correct value within a range that you want to use. So if I go back to the indicator now these are just parameter settings. There are other values you can use. It does go into a lot more detail. I won't do it as part of this course, but when we do our courses going forward, we will explain, when we add parameters, we'll explain how they work and how they are used. So that's just the parameter settings for the template that you're going to use. Now you come back to the actual output values. So what is displayed on the chart is the output line. So an example here, these are two indicators, and you've got a relative strength index indicator. And now this is an output line here. If I right click on it, it can see that the actual source and periods are the values. And this is the lines here, similar to this one here, where it allows you to change the color to anything you want. So I change the color to yellow, it goes yellow. So the whole idea about the output parameter is when you go about writing your code, this is the line that's drawn on the chart, and this is the color. And you can also change the type of line if it's dotted and the thickness of the line, okay? So go back to the code. So the output value is your result for your indicator data series. So this is what gets displayed to the chart. Now we are going to start off with a simple RSI indicator project that we're going to do after I've explained just a very, very basic indicator. Now the indicator project we're going to do is an RSI indicator that will send Telegram alerts when the value goes above or below a set threshold, okay? So that's that. The next line of code here, we've got initialize. Now in here, when you do initialize, what this does, this is where you set all your predefined things that you will only want to fire once when the indicator first starts. So you might want to do some construction of data, some, assigning data to certain variables and stuff like that when you start the indicator. So you do not need to do a lot about this one, just leave it as initialize. Again, in the course that we're going to follow, I'm going to explain all the different parameters that are going to go in there. So this indicator that they've created with Spotware, what it does is that when you first start the indicator, add it to a chart, it's going to print to the log file the message that you put up here for custom message. So if I build this, so this line here that says print message, this is the message here. So if I go back to here, so I've got one saying hi world, okay? The indicator has started. It's not these ones you see on the chart. It's created the indicator here, hi world, but if I go to the log, it says hi world. It's printed it to the log. Now it's very useful sometimes to print to log, but this is a very basic example to show you how an indicator would work. So if I go back to the code, here you can see the indicator's parameter settings. So these are predefined settings that you add as a user. When the indicator is attached to a chart, or if it's actually added an instance through cTrader Automate, it will actually run this block of code just once, and this print means print to the log file, prints a message to the log file, and it prints the message that you type in here, okay? So again, I'm going to go back. If I change this message to hello click algo, you can see it's changed it automatically here to click algo, because every time you change this value here, it reloads the indicator. So whatever I type in here, it reloads it and prints it to the log tab. So that's a very basic example of a cTrader indicator. There's one last thing that I haven't shown you, and that is the next method they leave in there, which is calculate. Now, what happens here is every time there's a price change, I think it's a price change in the data that's going across. So every time there's a bit of data coming in that changes the price of a symbol or an instrument, this method gets called. So you might want to put all your major code in here. This is where you would put it. And this is where you would say, okay, the data's coming in now. It's changed. I'm going to analyze it, and I'm now going to plot that data with a formula onto the chart with the custom indicator that I want to display. An example would be the RSI that we just showed you on there. That will change every time the data comes in, and it has new data that adds to the formula and displays it to a chart. Now what I'm going to do now is go to cTrader trade window. Now this is where you'll be doing your trading. So you would probably do your editing of the code in here and creating your indicator and testing that it works okay. When you're ready to use it or give it to somebody else to use, you can use it through this window here. Now on this window, you can actually install the indicator by tapping on your keyboard, type in the name of the indicator, my indicator as we called it, and we've got the parameters now that we've predefined. We've got the custom method you want to display, the number of periods, again, it's got the restriction between 0 and 10, show alert yes or no, the color of the line you want to display, and the type of line, no thickness, whether it's dots, and then you just click OK. It's added the indicator to the chart, but it's not showing anything because we've not implemented anything. Again, if I go to the log, by going up here, I can go trade watch bottom. I'm not sure it will show it. Yes, it has. If you go on this log file here, it says hi world. There you go. That's a very basic overview of a cTrader indicator and how it works. So in our future courses, we're actually going to explain to you in more detail about how it works and all the rest of it. So if you've got any questions, we do have a YouTube channel. And in the YouTube channel, we're going to actually explain, sorry, not YouTube channel. We've got a forum, and in the forum, you can actually ask questions about this. And I'm going to show you this forum now, just so you know where it is, but we should be able to put a link on the page anyway. So if I drag this across, this is our forum that we're going to use to support the Algorithmic Trading School. If you come down here to Algo School, we've put a few videos up already, which is cTrader Automate Overview, how to install Visual Studio, and how to download and install cTrader. So if you're new to cTrader, this will explain how to do it. But also in here, you can post a message and ask questions about the basic template and stuff like that. So we're going to start adding more course material as we go along. So it will really help you out. Now, if you're not familiar with who we are clickalgo.com. We provide trading software, custom indicators, stuff like that, and automated trading robots, education, and a custom development service. So if you do need our help with your development of your algorithm, or you've got an automated trading system, then just come and see us and we'll actually help you out in actually building it for you. So as part of the course that we're doing to help traders create their own systems, we do offer a professional service if you've got a automated trading system to build yourself. The only other thing is, if you're not familiar with who to use to open a demo account, you can come here and you can find out which broker to use. We've got a video. So we've got full information to help people get started. And we've also got a help center all about cTrader and getting started and all the rest of it. So just come to our site and you should be able to get started on everything there. Okay, that's it. If you like the video, please give us a thumbs up because it really helps us create more free videos for you. Thank you very much.